All right. We are back. We're back. We're back. And we're going to be talking about, have we found a black swan? We're talking about the Baltimore Bridge. The Baltimore Bridge. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have a discussion about it. We're going to talk about what makes a black swan event. Is it possible right now that we could have entered into a black swan event and not even know it? Is it possible? Is it possible? So we're going to be talking about this. I just wanted to see the comments. We have a new member. Hey, Debbie. How you doing? That was from earlier. We see Blessed Hope. Chris for Christ. Awesome. Lori's here. Awesome. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about this Baltimore Bridge thing. I know I've made some videos. I've been going back and forth, going, man, this feels like this is done on purpose. And the next day I look at it and I'm going, no, nobody's that methodical. No, there's no way anybody could be that methodical to do something like this on purpose. Because there's like between 6 and 11 people are dead. That's horrible. It's horrible. Hugo is in the house. So we're going to talk about what the criteria is for a black swan event. Most of you, I think, were around when 9/11 happened. And a black swan event, I'm gonna explain what it is, but a black swan event does not have to involve millions of people to be a black swan event. It doesn't have to, like, immediately. It doesn't have to involve millions and millions and millions. It doesn't have to be a major catastrophe. It just has to be a domino. Once that domino is pushed, everything else falls after that, falls into place. It's almost inevitable. And because you have a black swan event, it doesn't mean the end of the world either. So I'm going to describe what a black swan event is. A black swan event it has to fulfill 3 criteria. The first criteria is it has to be highly improbable, as in you didn't see it coming. COVID was not a black swan event. COVID-19 was not a black swan event. And maybe I could talk about that a little bit later. When they're warning you this is coming and all this kind of stuff, and they're predicting it like the year before, and they're telling you and all this kind of stuff, that's not a black swan event. A black swan event is highly improbable. And again, the reason why I say COVID was not a black swan event is we could have another one like that. It's just there's so many people connected. We got planes now that can go all over the place. Somebody can catch a cold in one country and then get off the plane in the United States and people are infected. That's just because we're connected. We're connected so much. So it has to be highly improbable, as in you can't see it coming. You can't plan for it. You can't see it coming. And you're caught off guard. And it does, and it will change the world overnight. It will change the world overnight. The second criteria is the world has to change because of that event. Now, that may not happen the next day. It could happen 3 days later. It could happen a week, a month later. But that event was what triggered the black swan event. So it changes the world. The third thing is you look back at it using hindsight bias and you can explain it away, which is what we're doing with the Baltimore Bridge. We're explaining it away. We're saying this should have been done. It was so obvious after the fact that we needed parameters in place so that this didn't happen. There are other bridges that have, I think, what they call dolphins, basically concrete barriers to protect the bridge from this type of thing happening. But for some reason, in the Baltimore area, they didn't have these dolphins, these concrete barriers to protect the bridge from getting hit. And the reason why I believe we're in a black swan event right now because of the Baltimore bridge is it's still under investigation. It's still under investigation. Once the crew gets interviewed and once all the bodies are found and everything is taken care of and they've explored everything in that area, because everything is evidence right now. Everything is evidence in that area. So nothing is off the table still. And there could be more press conferences coming down the pipes that could change our world tomorrow. Because here's the alternative. Let's just say nothing was done. You have another bridge that gets struck, which the chances are pretty remote. But if you have that happen, you have a catastrophe on your hands. You're going to have a run on everything because no bridge is safe now. Now it's a terrorist attack. The first plane striking the building, it was nothing. Not that it was nothing, but we weren't thinking this was a terrorist attack. We were thinking this was a mistake. Something happened. The second plane hitting the tower, we're like, oh, this is not good. So if you have a second cargo ship that's rigged to explode or hits a bridge or whatever it is, because we don't know why this cargo ship swerved into the bridge. You could explain it away. You could say it was the rudder, it was gears, it was power, all this kind of stuff. But why was this bridge left unguarded as well? As in, there's no barriers to protect the bridge. And there were so many mistakes made that in hindsight, you can go back and go, yeah, this wouldn't take very much to fix it. Hey, Pablina. So this is why I'm predicting that this is a black swan event. And it's very difficult to predict because if you're wrong, it's like, hey, you said that was a black swan event. Yes. The reason why, again, is the jury's still out as to what happened. The jury's still out right now on it. Now, they might have a conference tomorrow and say, we found evidence that this was a terrorist attack or whatever it is. Then our world will change because now every bridge is going to be protected in the U.S. And you know what? There is a lot. I'm trying to be fair. I am trying to be fair. So I'm trying to present a case that right now we could be looking at a black swan event right now before our very eyes. Again, it's because we're explaining this away as though we could have saw it happen. We're explaining it away. We're going, well, it's because of this, this, and this. It's the same thing as what we did with 9/11. We began explaining it away. We said the government planned it. These guys did this. This family is related to this family. It's because of this, 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 this. But they should have saw it. Why didn't they see it? This is what we're doing right now. We're saying we should have saw it. They should have saw this coming. Why was this bridge not protected? So when you're doing that, you're using hindsight bias. You're using evidence, historical evidence that led you up to this point today, March 28th. We're using this, the evidence that we saw, all the news footage, and we're gathering our intel and we're saying, you guys should have known better. You should have known better. And then we start going back in time now to figure it out. What happened? That's what we did for 9/11. And because it involved the trade towers collapsing, and there's a lot of lives lost that day. I forget exactly how many were lost that day. The whole town shut down, and then the whole nation, every airport shut down after, I think was after they found the third plane. And I remember the footage. I remember the news footage saying that if any plane is in the air, the military will shoot the plane down. I remember them saying that on the news. All planes will be shot down if there are any planes in the air. So they told all planes to leave or land immediately. And most of the commercial airlines went to Canada. I know because all the airports were jammed full in Canada of all the planes that were traveling from all over the world. They were not allowed to land at any of the airports in the United States. Shut down. Airspace shut down. And then the Air Force was circling, saying any plane that they find, they will shoot it down. They will shoot first, ask questions later, basically. Then we had record of a third plane being hijacked over, I think it was over Pennsylvania somewhere. And this is where we get the Todd Beamer incident. But what people forget is there was a ticker tape like this. I'll show you what a ticker is. Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. Here's my email. If I change this into a ticker and I show it, what they did on, I think it was Fox or something, they said a Pennsylvania flight, I think it was Flight 93 or whatever that Todd Beamer one was shot down by the Air Force. The Air Force shot the plane down. They were announcing it on Fox going, we just got news that the Air Force shot a plane, shot one of our own planes, shot one of our commercial airliners, and we think it's Flight 73. That came across as a ticker, and I'm like, what? You can't shoot your own people. You can't. That's what I was thinking in my head. Then, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, another broadcast comes on. We found out more evidence. What had happened was the plane actually crashed. A few terrorists were hijacking the plane. We found out that some of the passengers may have actually tried to take the plane back and they crashed it. So the plane was not shot down. I repeat, the plane was not shut down by our own. It was crashed. It was forced down. We have tapes, records, all kinds of stuff. But I remember seeing the ticker going across saying that the plane was shot down because that was what they were warning people, saying if there were any planes, private, commercial, in the air that look like they're not going on the trajectory that they're supposed to be going on, will be shot down. And then they changed it right before my eyes. They changed the reporting and said it was forced down. Now, I'm not going to jump into conspiracies about all that stuff, but I'm just telling you that's what I saw because I was an editor for a TV station back then and we were watching everything. So we had access also to people that were working for CBC and all this kind of stuff as well, kind of giving us the play-by-play. So that's why I say I know what I saw, and then it changed after. And I even have the book. Let's Roll. I have the book somewhere. It just seemed, I don't know. I still have, I believe that there were people on there that were innocent. I just don't know what happened on that. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about that one. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about how this all happens. And it happened very fast. Audio working. Hey, my brother's on. Extra player. How you doing, Dust? All right. Can you guys hear me all right? Or are you guys talking about your own audio? Let's just see here. Make sure my audio is here. Can you hear me? If everybody could just nod your head, even though I can't see you, I want to make sure my audio is good. Okay, perfect. So we're talking about the potential of this Baltimore bridge collapse being a black swan event. And I want you guys to say hi to Dustin, my brother. He's on here. That's extra player. He's watching right now. He's probably working right now doing security. It'd be cool to have my brother on here. I wonder how many people would like to see my brother on here. That'd be pretty fun, especially when we talk about conspiracies and stuff. But when we're talking about the Baltimore Bridge, there are triggers. There are procedures that should have been followed, and from our uneducated perspective, look like were not followed. Again, I mentioned earlier the concrete dolphins, basically barriers to protect the bridge from getting struck. So if you're in the US right now and the evidence that comes out that this is an attack, you guys are vulnerable right now. You're very vulnerable. So I don't know how many ports you have in the United States, but I think it's quite a few. And this is one of the big ones. If you were to deploy all your resources to make sure that all those bridges are secure, we now have an airport situation where you over exert all energy, all resources to the bridges, and you guys got a lot in America. You have a lot. You can't do it overnight. And it's going to take probably at least a couple of weeks. I think at least a week to clear that bridge. Plus, you have probably at least a half a dozen cargo ships stuck inside the Baltimore area. And you have other ships that are needing to go to Baltimore and they can't get there. So there's a logjam. And there's probably, I don't know what's on all the containers, but if it's contaminants, there's a lot of stuff in that river right now. Cargo, don't know. It's interesting that when Puff Daddy was being arrested and there was a shakedown regarding pedophilia and all this kind of stuff, no coverage, almost zero coverage on that. So they get a pass. Some of the elites get a pass on this kind of thing, when probably that could have been a focus for probably most of the people in America going, what's going on? Another person being taken down, arrested. What are they doing? But all eyes are in Baltimore right now. So it's kind of interesting. It is getting crazy. I like the name of your channel. It's getting crazy. So we have Talia. Hello. So again, the three criteria, highly improbable. This is something that, when we went to Seattle, we went across a few of these long bridges, same thing in Vancouver. I would always look at the cargo ships going, how do they not sink? That's kind of my basic kind of, I understand buoyancy and all this kind of stuff, but I'm like, they're so heavy. But I never thought, what if they smashed into this bridge? I wasn't really connecting the dots. I guess maybe it's there, but I wasn't thinking that. I was just like, wow, look how slow they move. And they're just going through, and I never even thought about that. I did think about the idea that if you're going across the bridge, what happens if you hit the rail? Could your car go through the rail and go down? What happens if there's an accident, log jam, all this kind of stuff? But I never thought that a cargo ship would smash into a bridge. It didn't even enter into my thought. Just like it never entered into my thought that you can use commercial airplanes to smash buildings. Even though the Empire State Building had a private single-engine plane, I don't know, 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe later, maybe it was the 70s that actually went into the Empire State Building, a small plane, single-engine plane, and it never brought it down. But when I was in a building, I never thought that planes, I always thought it was kind of cool seeing planes, but I just never thought that they would turn all of a sudden and go into a building. It wasn't there on my radar. You can say it is now. Oh yeah, I knew that ever since I was a child. I was like, why aren't these planes crashing into more? Like, okay, whatever. You're using hindsight bias. Same thing when it comes to these cargo ships now. You're not going to be thinking about it when you go across a bridge watching for cargo ships now. It's inevitable. And they're probably already getting a little bit tighter when it comes to who's going onto the bridge and who isn't. I could just see it happening. It's almost a waste of resources because that's not what the problem was. But I could see tighter security now on the bridges, just like the plane. You go to the airport now, you need a passport. Every so often, people get pulled aside. Let me check all your stuff. Meanwhile, that wasn't who hijacked the plane. Like, you're telling me an 85-year-old lady would do that? Hijack the plane? Seriously? You're telling me that my $75 clone that I just bought in Las Vegas as a souvenir, you're going to put that aside because it could take down the plane, and now I'm out $75? And you're probably going to give it to the other security guards when they go home because there's a whole box of perfume, cologne that's an ounce or 2 ounces or whatever it is. The world changed almost overnight at the airports. Don't think that couldn't have happened. Don't think that that cannot happen with bridges, tolls. Who's going to pay for this bridge? The government? You think they're going to cough up $90 million and pay for this right away without putting their hand in your pockets? There's probably going to be tolls coming up again. There is already tolls on that bridge, of my understanding. But now you're going to have security in the name of protection. But it wasn't the traffic that was causing the problem. It was the cargo ships approaching the Bay Area unchecked. They should be putting out those tugboats. They should have patrol ships going back and forth. And again, I'm not saying this is a terrorist attack, but this can affect our economy in more ways that we're fully able to comprehend because we're getting ready for Easter. We're not willing to think about this right now because, like, for us, we have Good Friday tomorrow. And then we have family time. And then Sunday, Easter. And then next week, we have the solar eclipse. Got lots of stuff going on. Lots of distractions. We haven't even begun to talk about the idea that the solar eclipse could be going over these fault lines. Was it the Madrid fault line? That's kind of interesting. If you were to do an X-ray underneath, you would see there's a huge gap. There's a pocket underneath that if that collapsed, I don't know, maybe there's water under there. There's no going back, though, after that. And then you have security on bridges, security at the airports. Where are you going to go now? How are you going to get out of Dodge to go to your cousin Louie's place that has all the guns and ammo and cans of tuna fish? And especially if you found out that your cousin has all 20 seasons of Friends, how are you going to get to their house when your internet is down because of an EMP strike or because subs are taking out the C cables? And you think you're busy thinking, oh, I got satellite. Okay. So you take those out, and then all of a sudden now you start talking about people panicking and making runs on toilet paper. And I don't know about you, but there's only so many times that you can go to the washroom in a day. Even if you force yourself, you're not going to consume that much toilet paper. So why are we making a run on toilet paper? That's what happened in COVID. I couldn't believe it. I was working in grocery stores. I was on the front lines. I would walk in and I'm like, there's no toilet paper. None. And you look and you see at these videos of Costco where old ladies are fighting each other over toilet paper. Excuse me. So, yes, for sure. I can give you a link, Rick. Give me a second, pal. We need some. Let's see here. Let me see if I could send it to you, bro. Let me see, bro. Dun, 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 dun. Boom. Boom. Link. Paste. Coming. It's coming, Nick. It's coming, bro. It's coming. Let's see here. Boom. It's coming. It's coming. Boom. Boom. Dun, 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 dun. Boom. It's on its way. I'm about to make a video. Okay. You can make a video and I'll go check out your channel after whatever. I sent the link, so I might be here a little bit, so you can come back here later, whatever you want. I'll be here a little bit. Take your time. Oh, look at this. We have a special guest. We have a special guest now coming on our channel. If you think Tom Cody is big, we have someone bigger, even more important. If you think Robert Breaker is a huge guest, we have somebody even bigger. If you think Joe Biden is a big guest, we have somebody more important than Joe Biden coming up here. Here she is.
Oh, you're silly. You are silly, brother.
And we also have Rick. Rick is coming on as well. We're going to spark things up here a little bit. Rick always.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Nick, guys. I just changed my name today.
Yeah.
I'm just playing with you, buddy.
Yeah.
How you doing, Shane?
Good.
Hey, look who it is.
It's Aimee.
Aimee, how you doing?
Aimee. So
Rick
I'm going
comes
to do
to
my
play.
video here in a little bit. I just wanted to pop on here for just a short bit.
For sure.
For maybe 10 minutes, and then I'm going to run off and do my video because I reached 1,000 subscribers today. I'm so happy about that. I am loving it. And you know what? I don't want all the glory and fame, guys. All I want is to reach the unsaved. And I can't do it without people's help. In other words, The more bigger the channel grows, the more we can reach unsaved people, the more people we reach. That's what's important, is reaching the lost. Without that, Satan's going to win. He's going to be able to pull more people down with him. So by more subscribers, reaching the lost, reaching more people, Satan loses. And he's going to lose big time, guys, because one day he's going to lose at the Battle of Armageddon. Now, if he was smart, he'd give in to God now and say, look, God, I realize I'm going to lose badly. But he's just not going to do that, folks.
No,
why? No. Because he's got too much pride. He thinks he's invincible. Well, you know what? God can just snap his fingers like that and, annihilate him just like that where he sits, along with all his demons. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yep. That's awesome. Congrats for 1,000.
Yes.
What are you going to be talking on your? Let me guess what you're going to be talking about. Let me take a guess.
I'm going to go ahead and talk.
Solar,
well, I sent you a video about a Black Swan event. They were talking about it. I think you got it already.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, that's
they're definitely bringing that up, and I'm going to bring up stuff about the Russia, how it's escalating, and all the events that are correlating, that are building up as we get closer to the April 8th eclipse. I'm trying to stress that, folks, that if something's going to happen on April 8th, or maybe shortly after, or maybe the next day, watch the events with a magnifying glass. I told people that on my show. The last show we had was just a few days ago, a show called Prophecy Mondays. And that show comes on every Monday at 8:30, by the way, Eastern Standard Time. That's the New York time zone. And people can tune in. Panelists can join in. You, Aimee, everybody, whoever, if you know prophecy about Christ and all that, you know everything about the Lord Christ.
Yep.
And the rapture, hopefully your pre-trib rapture, Aimee.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
As long as you know about Christ and what he did for us on that cross, come on my channel. But if you come on there as a non-believer, I welcome you still. You know why? Because we can save you right there on the air live.
That's right.
Remember, Jesus said that I welcome everybody, non-believers and believers, because that's the whole purpose, is to bring a non-believer in and save them.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't judge anybody that comes on my channel. All is welcome. Just don't come on there taking the Lord's name in vain. Okay. I know. Yeah, don't do that, guys. Or cuss. God says we're to have a clean tongue for the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
and
good.
Nobody's perfect. I get it, folks. We all slip up. And I know I should have apologized that night. I didn't want to amplify it more than I had to do. I didn't want to amplify it more than it had to be. I was really more embarrassed. I almost ejected myself right away. But,
it's all right.
Like I said, I'm careful now. Very, very careful, especially when you're on other people's channels.
Yep.
So I'm very, very good about that now, guys.
Yep. No, for sure. It's good lesson for all of us too.
I learned a good lesson. It taught me a lesson to be very careful.
Yeah.
And I'm always careful. Even before it happened, I was careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. No, it's good. I'm happy you got to 1,000. And I think every one of us, even off the channel, like I think we just have to learn how to carry ourselves no matter where we go. Like,
I watched that bridge video
that
you did.
Yeah.
Very close analysis of the bridge. Things are not lining up with that bridge. I don't see. There's some weird stuff going on here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with the eclipse. They're gearing up for it like there's something more to it that they're not telling us, folks.
That's what it feels like.
It does. Like right, they're shooting 3 missiles up at the moon to do some kind of sound testing. What are they really doing, folks? What is that all about? They never do this during eclipse.
And they're calling it.
Aimee, you got lag. Your camera's frozen.
Did you hear about that, Aimee?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Did you? Yeah.
Her camera's out of sync. It's not synced up.
That's just how she speaks. It's amazing. It's a gift. She can move her lips, and then 5 minutes later,
it's probably her connection's a little slow.
It's possible.
Yeah. Is this better?
Yes, it's better. You must have did something to it.
No.
But something's not lining up with this Eclipse. There's something about it that's very strange. I know it's very exciting. This is a sign from heaven. But what I'm looking at the things and I'm adding them all up. They're launching NASA's doing something about this on the same. They're declaring. I think they're declaring martial law or have it in place. They're disaster preparedness, folks. If the rapture is coming, folks, on that day or just after it, then the Lord will move through these people. They don't know where it's coming from. Why are their minds being triggered to do all this? Maybe the Lord is saying, look, I better prepare people as I'm coming on this day or the next day. I got to get them ready. And they just come up out of the blue with these things like, hey, we need to prepare, guys. And they don't know truly, where is it really coming from? Could it be the Lord is hinting to us, folks, that this might be more than just an eclipse that's going to happen that day? Could it be the appearance of the Antichrist? If that is, then the rapture's got to take place before it.
Yep.
We know we're on a very high rapture watch coming up. Right now, it's midnight New York time where I'm at. It is Good Friday right now.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Jesus gets taken away.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And this is now, we are on a very, very high rapture watch from 3 days, Good Friday to Sunday.
Yep.
Very carefully watch the events leading up to that. If nothing happens, so what? We're still here. We can deliver the gospel longer. The next rapture window, I believe, that's very high will be in September. Actually, no, I'm sorry. April 8th. That's the next biggest high rapture watch window, I think. And then another biggest one would be, well, they're both pretty big, is September. So we got 3 windows. This 3 days, April 8th, and then September. So we got 3 big possibilities. Now, we're always supposed to be looking for the rapture. We're always on high watch because we're in the end times. Yep. But the highest point of the rapture, I think, is during those 3 highlighted time windows that I just told you guys.
It's possible. Very possible. No, it's good. Good to have you on here, brother. If we have time afterwards, if we have time, if we don't go till like 4 a.m, maybe I'll pop over there or something. We'll see. I don't know.
I'm not going to be live. I'm just doing a recorded video and I'm uploading it.
Okay, cool.
I usually don't go live all the time. I usually go live once a week unless something major breaks. Let's say tomorrow we wake up and Russia dropped a small yielded tactical nuke on Ukraine. I will be on here live really quick, folks.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure
or something blows up in a major city that kills like 100,000 people. I will be on here live. But I won't be live until this coming Monday. I used to go live on Sundays. And, I got to work all weekend. So, anyways, I'm just going to do a regular upload.
Okay. Cool. Go check out Departure Heaven. Check him out. He's at 1,000 subscribers now. How long have you
I'm going to go, guys. I'm going to go. I'm just going to stick on for 1 more minute. I'm going to go. I didn't want to be on here for a while. I just wanted to be on for a few minutes.
Okay. Final thoughts before you
leave. Thoughts?
Yeah. Final wisdom from Rick before you depart.
Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're looking at this video right now and you're scratching your head wondering what's going on with this world, what's wrong with this world, and you're wondering why everything is so the way it is, because God said it would be just like this. This is what the world would look like prior to the rapture happening. This is what the world would look like prior to the Antichrist before he would make his appearance. The environment is set up and perfect for him to show up on the world scene right now. The stage is set. Everything is set up for him to come onto the world scene. The covenant, I believe, has already been drawn up, the 7-year covenant. All he does is come and confirms it, makes it greater, as the Bible says. The red heifers are in place. They're ready to be sacrificed. The temple is institute, that's what they call it, is ready to go. Everything is set up. Okay, and if you're scratching your head wondering why all this is happening, because God said it would happen right before these things would take place. The rapture, the 7 years, the appearance of the Antichrist. World War III is about to happen. We're already in the beginning stages of it. And I can't stress enough that Putin has got his finger on a hair notice trigger. In other words, they have got their hands on the keys right now. That is how close it is. DEFCON 2 all the way across the board for all the countries, except for Africa and I think some other country. I think it was, what was it? Go look it up. Just look up DEFCON warning system. They were all at 2. Folks, 1 is World War III. In other words, the missiles have came out of the ground already, and they're on their way to their targets if it hits 1. That is how close we are to World War III. If you don't believe me, go look it up. Just Google it. This site, I don't know if they're connected fully with NORAD and our defense system. They say it is partially. They give them, I guess they communicate, but it doesn't matter. Right now, if you're still scratching your head, why, and you're not sure where you're going, today is the day of salvation, because if you do not know, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. You can have a heart attack tonight before you go to bed. You can get into a car wreck on the way to work tomorrow. Okay, God forbid. You will enter eternity, and God, your fate tells you, because if you didn't believe, you don't believe in Christ. There is no other way through heaven but through Jesus. You will enter in a terrible place called hell for all eternity. There is no get out of hell card like Monopoly. There is no get out of hell card. You're down there forever and ever and ever. You can go there and you can try to hope, but there is no hope. You are forever separated from God. But if you call out to Jesus right now, which is a great time to do it, because you never know what's going to happen next. Even the next 10 minutes, the rapture can happen. I believe it's that imminent, especially now on Good Friday. Give your life to Jesus Christ, folks. Do it now. I implore you to, because, like I said, all you do is cry out to his name, truly believe that he died on the cross, or rose again on the 3rd day. God will send you the Holy Spirit. He will save you, and you will be saved, and your sins will be washed away by the blood of Christ. You will be rapture ready. Okay, you'll be ready to go, and your feet will leave the ground when the horn blows. I'm not playing around, folks. Get ready. This stuff is very serious. We are in very, very dangerous times right now, folks. Do not play around with it. This is the time to get saved. I'm going to hand it over to Aimee and Shane. I'm going to go in and self-eject myself from the show. Thank you for having me on, Shane.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Thank you. God bless you both.
Yes, have a good night, Rick. I'll see you later, bro.
All right, guys.
Awesome. So Rick is at 1,000 subs. He's always got some fire under him. That's what I love about Rick. Hopefully I didn't say Nick. Rick. Hey, let's have a quick look here. What he was talking about here real quick. I just want to show this here.
Am I still lagging?
Not bad. I don't know. I haven't noticed if you're moving around. Do this real quick. Go like this. Walk like an Egyptian. Do that.
No,
then I can tell. Well, I can't tell if there's a lag unless you do this. What? Man, how am I supposed to tell? Okay. Hang on here. We're going to DEFCON 2 here. Hang on here. Let's have a look. All right. So DEFCON 5, which is the lowest state, I believe. Normal or lowest state of readiness. DEFCON 4 is above normal readiness with an increase in the gathering of intel and strengthening of security measures. DEFCON 3, select forces are ready to deploy within 15 minutes. Wow. DEFCON 2, military forces stand ready to deploy and fight in 6 hours or less. And DEFCON 1, maximum military readiness for imminent or immediate response to threats or attacks. So I think that is World War III right there. I think that is what Rick was saying. He said most countries, I think he said, that could be DEFCON 2. Not sure, but I don't know if we are. Right now, I think we are we're fueling our Navy right now. We have one sub for our Navy, and that is at West Edmonton Mall. So it's going to take a little bit for us to get that sub out. We got to put it on a transport. We got to put it on a truck, and then we got to take that sub to Vancouver. Then we can deploy the sub and make sure that it probably could seat maybe 3 people, maybe 4 people. If something is going on the East Coast, we're done. We're done. We don't have enough resources to go all the way around, down past South America, go around all the way across the U.S. into the Gulf, go around all the way back up. It's not enough time. I don't know what we're going to do with our Navy, Aimee. We only have one sub.
I have no comment on that. Don't be passing that information out to
I shouldn't have disclosed that to my American friends that we only have one sub and it's at the West Edmonton Mall, and people can take pictures and selfies inside it, and it's tiny and there's dolphins around it. But our dolphins are killers. So we have killer dolphins at West Edmonton Mall.
No, we don't. They're not there anymore.
They're sick? They're gone?
They closed that down a long time ago.
Oh man, we don't have any dolphins. We're in trouble, folks.
Dolphins with laser beams.
Oh man. Don't underestimate the power of dolphins.
Okay, so those rockets that he was talking about, they're calling this serpent deity. That's what they're calling their little project there of sending these out on the day of the eclipse rockets.
Okay, can I share my understanding of NASA a little bit without getting into conspiracy? And I don't want to be that guy that says, hey, I don't like NASA and all this stuff. My understanding is NASA gave over all contracts to Elon Musk, only because I read his autobiography. So it's a bit of a surprise to me that NASA is launching 3 rockets. Not saying they can't have some change left over because people still probably donate to NASA, and I think people still want to be astronauts for NASA. I don't know. I just thought maybe they'd want to work for Elon, something like that. Maybe work on the automation with his Teslas and all this stuff. But that was my understanding, is all contracts were moved over to Elon because that's why he's able to build all his Falcon spaceships and all that stuff. Now, my American friends could say, hey, Shane, no. NASA's in full control. It's not Elon Musk. All contracts are with NASA. I could be wrong. But according to the autobiography, it was too expensive, and we lost all the telemetry data to get back to the moon. So it would be like starting all over. We lost all the footage too. Got it all erased. All the telemetry data and all this stuff. So here, Elon, have all these blank tapes. You take over the program. And Elon's like, no, I don't want to go to the moon. That's not far enough. Let's go to Mars. Okay, whatever.
Go back to the moon? Is that what you said?
Did I say that? Did I say go back? That's like a swear word. I swore. Go back to the moon? You mean for the first time ever? Yeah. All right. Anyways, don't give me.
So anyways, it's called, I don't know if you heard me, but they're calling it serpent deity. That's what they're calling it.
Serpent deity?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Do you want to, can you bring it up or something, or is there something to watch?
You'll have to. I'm not set up because I'm
okay. Is there like a video can we watch or something?
Just Google it. I can pull it up, but I won't be able to share it.
Okay. I'll see if I can find a video. NASA triple threat. I'll just call it that. That's a better name than serpent, whatever. Oh no, I just got some basketball stuff. Hang on here. What did you call it? Triple serpent? It's like a hydra or something.
No. Serpent deity.
Oh, serpentine systems. Hang on, I'll find it. Deity, okay. Triple serpent deity.
I'll be firing. This is on Forbes. NASA will be firing 3 scientific sounding rockets into the moon shadow on Monday, April 8th, during a partial solar eclipse across North America. In what will be a total.
That's insane. Like, just to even say that you're going to fire rockets, like, how insane are you guys?
Serpent Deity, the Space Agents Project, atmospheric around the eclipse path, will investigate how the drop in sunlight and temperature affects Earth's upper atmosphere. Is that really what you guys are going to be trying to test? Okay.
I know, eh?
So get this. EPEP is named after the serpent deity from the ancient Egyptian mythology, nemesis of the sun deity Ra, according to NASA.
NASA's up to no good, man. They don't even hide it anymore.
No.
I'm just seeing if I can find that. A NASA Ring of Fire annular eclipse. That was 5 months ago. Ring of Fire.
CERN. That's right. I also heard that they'll be starting up CERN again on the 8th. Yeah.
I'm just okay. We'll fire 3 rockets. I got it. I think I got it here.
So what does it say? Each rocket will eject 4 secondary instruments the size of a 2-liter soda bottle. Really?
They're what?
So
what?
Each rocket will eject 4 secondary instruments the size of 2-liter soda bottles that will also measure the same.
Okay, hang on here. Show some respect for NASA. Can you say it with a straight face, please?
Okay, I'm sorry.
While I do this.
Okay, yeah. Each rocket.
Say it with a straight face.
Yeah, that's literally their god. Anyways, Egyptian god. Okay, each rocket will eject 4 secondary instruments the size of a 2-liter soda bottle that also measure the same data points. So it's similar to results from 15 rockets with only launching 3. So a soda-sized bottles. sorry. Okay.
How do they have these board meetings without cracking a smile?
So it's you know what? It's actually the result of like 15 rockets, but we only need to launch 3 because the size of these rockets are 2 liters soda can, like soda bottle sizes.
The rockets themselves. Okay.
Each rocket will eject 4 secondary instruments the size of 2-liter soda bottle that also measures. Okay, so either they're trying to downplay how small these rockets are.
Yeah.
Or there's something fishy about that. They're trying to downplay it in some degree.
Okay, let me play the video that I have from NASA themselves, I think. I don't know what to believe when it comes to these guys. Okay, hang on one sec. All right. This is from Playtime Entertainment, so I don't know. Is this a video game channel? Did I click on the wrong thing?
In a groundbreaking mission set to unfold on October 14th, NASA will send 3 rockets hurtling into the moon's shadow as it partially obscures the sun.
October 14th.
This an annular, or ring-shaped.
Yeah, this must have been an earlier video or whatever.
Solar eclipse along a 125-mile wide path through the U.S. Southwest and a partial solar eclipse across the entire Americas, bringing a sudden reduction in sunlight. At the peak of this celestial...
See, this is probably the same footage that they used when they were on the rocket going to the moon for the first time. Because watch the moon.
Entire America.
See that?
Bringing a sudden reduction in sunlight.
And then see underneath how the stars are, because obviously they're just layering this to make the special effects. Probably in story blocks is how they built this. But anyways, the point is it's cheap.
At the peak of this celestial spectacle, approximately 90% of the sun's surface will be concealed by the moon. The primary aim of this mission is to explore its effects on Earth's upper atmosphere. Now, let's delve into what these rockets will be doing. NASA will embark on a quest to identify perturbations.
Do you know what those are?
Perturbations?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it says that in here.
Okay.
Atmospheric perturbations around the eclipse path. That's what they'll be investigating with the serpent deity.
But do you know what those are?
No, let's do a little.
Yeah, you do a little look while I play the video.
I have to be a rocket scientist to know what that means.
Okay, and we're just watching the plane go behind the moon here. 1 second.
Changes within Earth's atmosphere during the eclipse. They will deploy 3 NASA-funded suborbital rockets, with each launch scheduled before, during, and after the eclipse's peak. These rockets will gather essential data about Earth's atmosphere, focusing on parameters such as electron density and temperature. Launching 35 minutes apart, these rockets will ascend to an altitude of about 50 miles, reaching the ionosphere, where the atmosphere becomes electric. Here, ions and electrons exhibit variations in temperature and density, particularly during sunrise and sunset. When a solar eclipse occurs, with sunlight vanishing swiftly,
there's
it's
my
expected
footage.
that this phenomenon will create ripples in the ionosphere.
That was in my opening.
As Madhulika Guthakurta, heliophysics program scientist at NASA, puts it, this is the first time we have done this because such an opportunity only comes once in about 400 years. Think of the ionosphere as a calm pond, and the eclipse as a motorboat slicing through it. This causes ripples and a momentary increase.
What's interesting is they're using water as an analogy.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah,
like that NASA's always talking about water when it comes to space.
Yeah.
And the water level behind it. Each rocket will deploy 4 small scientific instruments, precisely measuring changes in electric and magnetic fields, density, and temperature. As Aero Barjatia, professor of engineering physics at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, points out, rockets are the best way to explore the vertical dimension at the smallest spatial scales. They have the flexibility to launch at precisely the right moment and explore altitudes inaccessible to satellites. Before we conclude, remember that during the solar eclipse, the sun will never be completely covered by the moon. So, always wear solar eclipse glasses to protect your eyes. Ensure your photographic equipment has proper solar filters. The annular solar eclipse will be visible only within a specific path spanning several U.S. states, but nearly everyone in North, Central, and South America.
So this is an older video, obviously.
Yeah. So I looked up the definition.
Okay.
Yeah. Perturbation. So the number 1 definition is worry, anxiety.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Anxiety or weakness means a state of agitation, or can refer to whatever's causing the anxiety. A small change in a physical system, most often in a physical system at an equilibrium, that is disturbed from the outside. State of being perturbed. Anxiety, mental uneasiness. Well, that's interesting.
What was the word again? I'm trying to find where.
Perturbation.
Yeah. And you spelled it right. Pertur. Patience.
Yeah.
And okay, and read it again because that's ridiculous.
I know, it's so ridiculous.
Like, let me read what they said, and then you read your definition. NASA. I'll read it in their tone.
Okay. Well, it says.
Let me read the definition. Let me read what they say, and then you tell me what the definition is. So, NASA.
What they said.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
NASA will embark on a quest to identify perturbations, that is, changes.
Perturbations, it says.
Yeah. This one just says identify perturbations, that is, changes within the Earth's atmosphere during the eclipse. They will deploy the 3 NASA-funded suborbital rockets, with each launch scheduled before, during, and after the eclipse's peak. Okay, what's your definition?
Like serpent deity. That this is off Forbes. The space agency project atmospheric perturbations around the eclipse path will investigate how that drop in sunlight and temperature affects Earth's upper atmosphere. APEP is named after the serpent deity from ancient Egyptian mythology, nemesis of the sun deity Ra, according to NASA. What? So now definition, 1, worry, a small change in irregular movement of an object. Small change in a physical system. Noun, the noun perturbation, I think I'm saying it properly. Anxiety or uneasiness, a state of agitation. Yeah. Alter a function of a biological system induced by external or internal mechanisms.
So 2 things jump out at me. One is, that sounds bad. 2, have they ever not seen Animatrix? Did they never watch that? Where they showed basically Earth torched the sky to stop the robots, and then they ended up having to go underground. So now you get NASA, and I don't know, like sometimes some of this stuff could be created by bots, if you will, or AI, because I know there's lots of videos going out there that are generated with voice and video. Nice mug, by the way. I wish I had a cup like that. I wish I had a mug like that. That's so nice. What was I saying? Oh, with regards to NASA, like there's all these videos that are going around that are computer generated, like by AI. And then you put a voice behind it, and then they say it's NASA doing it. So don't know. It just seems kind of weird. It seems weird that you want to torch the ionosphere or whatever for the good of us. And I didn't ask you to do that for me. Thank you. I didn't ask you to send rockets out into space to experiment on our behalf with whatever chemicals you're putting in there to agitate us. Just sounds weird.
It could be also, okay, this is a little, yeah, I'll just leave that out for now. Okay, so I won't go deep.
Let me go to this question. There's a question here. Is it possible that it is keeping subs out of the harbor? If it's a black swan, then what is the purpose or goal? And I think Susan's talking about keeping the subs out of Baltimore, that area, that whole Bay Area. And I don't know if that's so much keeping the subs out, because I think the subs have bigger fish to fry than to go into that harbor there. Like they'd probably be further out, I'm guessing, in other areas. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not fully understanding your question. If you're saying that because that bridge collapsed, that subs can't go in, but I don't think subs would go in to do anything anyway, because usually their mission would be to be kind of under the radar and to take out any destroyers or anything like that, any ships that are coming close to attack the US, and they probably have nuclear subs, and I just think the subs are too big to go into that area. I think they would be defenseless, if you will. They're usually protecting like carrier ships and all this other stuff. I don't think subs are by themselves all the time, but maybe. I know with Pearl Harbor, they snuck in a couple of Japanese subs, 2-man subs, to go inside close to Pearl Harbor. And I think some Americans actually spotted these subs, but I don't think they reported it, or it got reported too late, or whatever it is. And they're doing a little bit of, what do you call it, where they're reconnaissance. Like these, it was like a tiny submarine. It's like a 2-man sub. And then they got out of there. I don't think they got caught or anything. So there is that possibility that smaller subs could maybe come in, but I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Well, there's definitely something crazy that's going on with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're going to see in the next couple of days the ramifications of the investigation for the crew. And I spent a lot of time today talking about There was an animation that I played that was a virtual simulation of what the crew would have to go through. And they made it look like it was not their fault at all. Like the way they presented it, I was like, yeah, you know what? That looks like you don't have a lot of time to react. But when you watch the footage, it looks like they're steering into the column. And there's no mayday going out. There's the construction crew didn't know about it. And you lost at least 6 lives, which is horrible. Horrible. There's so many mistakes that went on there. It's just terrible. It's not good news for the U.S. It's not a good look. It's not good news because it shows that the U.S. is vulnerable. And I don't think you want the most powerful nation in the world to look vulnerable. Like, could you imagine this happening in China, where a ship from another country comes in and takes out one of their bridges? Or in Russia? Or Ukraine, like in the Baltic Sea or whatever, the Black Sea? Could you imagine any of this stuff going on around there? Like, it's weird that the U.S. this can happen.
Is it though?
I find it. Well, yeah, it's weird because America is powerful. And if you let cargo ships this big come in and start smashing their property, that is almost like terrorism. You like, I can't drive my car into the United States and then just smash into the building. Like just pick a building. I can't do that. They would probably look at that. Okay, Canada, you're now off the grid. Playing a little game of Axis and Allies. We're just going to move right in, take over your territory. Sixes, they roll sixes and boom, we're out. Just like that. They just occupy all of Canada because I was silly enough to accidentally hit one of their buildings. Now you have this ship that's huge. I don't know how many cars are on it that hit the United States of America. There has to be some kind of repercussions for that. You don't just do that to the most powerful nation in America, and then you look around and you go, this was an accident, folks, by Joe Biden right away. This is an accident. I don't know if he did this because I never watched Eclipse, but if you have Barack Obama in his ear say it was an accident. It was on purpose. What did you say? Oh, it was an accident. Whoops, my bad. Sorry, folks. I just think it's a bad look for the U.S. when stuff like this happens because it just makes them look vulnerable.
Well, I mean,
like if that happened to us in let's just say in Ontario or Windsor or somewhere, we would just be forced to apologize to them enough that they would leave. We would keep saying sorry to them. Sorry you hit our bridge. Sorry you destroyed our bridge. Sorry, 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 until they get sick of it and they leave. That's our tactic. We just apologize until they get out of there.
It's getting crazy. Wrote, are they going to televise the red heifer sacrifice? So let me just go up here. I think he's answering or commenting on a question above here. I can't get to it.
I can put it up.
But there's one, I think, if you go back, I think there's, for some reason,
red heifer ceremony tomorrow. Huh. Let me look up. I just want to do a quick search on red heifers because I know it's in Leviticus, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's not much on it other than the idea behind it is for a purification ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just see. All right. Let's go. So Leviticus. My Hebrew is not so good. So let me just try and find it here.
Ritual purification of corpse uncleanliness. Let's see. Go over here.
I just want to see what Bible verse it is. I know it's in. Where?
Numbers?
Maybe numbers.
Numbers.
Numbers 19.
Yeah, it's just Numbers 19. I was just reading this a few days ago.
It just came right at the tip of my brain as I was reading Google. Amazing how that works. Let's see. Numbers 19, King James Version, because that's the only version that we talk about here. There are no other versions. All right. Let me read chapter 19 just so we can get an idea of what's going on in regards to the red heifer, and then we can talk about this red heifer ceremony. If you don't mind, Aimee, I'll just pull this up real quick here while you do a deep dive. All right. Let's see. Trying to make this. Is it full screen yet or no? How about there? There we go. All right. Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, this is the ordinance of the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, speak unto the children of Israel that they bring thee a red heifer.
Yeah, I was like,
no. I can't read tonight. Bring thee a red heifer without spot. Therein is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke.
Mm-hmm.
And ye shall give her unto Eleazar the priest, that he may bring her forth without the camp. So outside the camp, and one shall slay her before his face. It's interesting when Paul says, the Gentiles are without the law. People are like, what do you mean without the law? It's just another way of saying that we Gentiles were never at Mount Sinai. We never got the 10 Commandments in our hands. Israel did.
Yeah.
So when Moses is writing without the camp, without means outside the camp. And one shall slay her before his face. And Eleazar, the priest, shall take of her blood with his finger and sprinkle her blood directly before the tabernacle of the congregation 7 times. And one shall burn the heifer in his sight, her skin, her flesh, her blood, with her dung shall he burn. And the priest shall take the cedar wood and hyssop and scarlet and cast it into the midst of the burning of the heifer. Then the priest shall wash his clothes, and he shall bathe his flesh in the water. So now you got the ash from this heifer mixed in the water, and they're to bathe in it.
Yeah.
And afterward he shall come into the camp, and the priest shall be unclean till the evening. So they have to have the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet. Mm-hmm. They have to make sure and throw that into the fire. And the priest shall be unclean until the even. And he that burneth her shall wash his clothes in water. So this is basically the first washing machine right here. Verse 8, he that burneth her shall wash his clothes in water. So basically you got the red heifer's ash in water. This is the water of purification, water of separation, I should say. So they put their clothes in there, and then he would bathe in water and shall be unclean until the evening. So this is a purification ritual for the priests. And a man that is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and lay them up without the camp in a clean place, and it shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel for a water of separation, which is interesting, right? It's almost like talking like the firmament at the beginning in Genesis, where the waters were separated by a firmament. Anyway, it is a purification for sin. And he that gathereth the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean to the evening, and shall be unto the children of Israel and unto the stranger that sojourned among them for a statute forever. So this is how they wash themselves, like a ritual ceremony. And I think somebody mentioned that yeah, if you touch a dead body, you're unclean days. So you're to come here, and if they have this ash, this red heifer ash already in the water, then you can wash your hands and you're clean. You'll be unclean for 7 days. Then you can come back into the camp. You're cool. He shall purify himself with it on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he shall be clean. But if he purify not himself the 3rd day, then the 7th day he shall not be clean. So he has to stay outside the camp. Whosoever touches the dead body of any man that is dead, purifieth not himself, defileth the tabernacle of the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from Israel because of the water of separation, which again is mixed with the hyssop, the scarlet, the redwood or whatever, and then
hey,
the water of separation. Yes.
Pause.
Yeah.
We got hyssop. We got scarlet.
You scared me.
Sorry.
Gee. Like, what happened?
Sorry.
It's like, hey, stop reading. Okay, yeah. I'll come back to you. I'll come back.
We got hyssop.
Yep.
Let's think.
Yep. Scarlet. Yep.
What was Jesus's robe that they put on him? We
scarlet. Depending which gospel you're reading at, scarlet, purple, or a glorious robe.
Yeah, depending on which book, which gospel.
Yep.
And we have hyssop.
Yep.
Which is interesting.
Yep.
We have if he does not purify himself on the 3rd day.
Yep.
That's popping out here. And the aspect of why I was like, hey, what's the wood that we needed here?
Cedar wood. Cedar, which is interesting.
I wonder. I don't know. I have never, something just popped out. I wonder what type of wood that the cross was made out of that Jesus had to carry.
Yeah, that's interesting, eh?
Right? Like something just popped out on that one on me. So I was like, wait, I don't know if anybody's ever done a deep dive on that, but that would be
interesting.
Yeah, that'd be really something interesting to look into. Okay. That's it for now.
That's it?
Yeah, because I'm just, go.
Okay, so I'll continue reading. We're almost done. But I think it's good to read this, and then now people can go, oh, what is that ceremony? What are they talking about? This is what they're talking about. They're talking about a cleansing ceremony for the priest, and it's supposed to be for the congregation as well. If you touch a dead body out in the middle of somewhere, you come across a body, you do the right thing, you remove the body, you're now unclean for 7 days, and you have 3 days. My understanding is to get to this place. So you could be 3 days away or whatever, and then you wash yourself, you bathe, all this stuff, and then you're clean. Laid him out without a camp. He that gathered ashes, so wash his clothes, touch the dead body. Let's continue down here. Dead man, purifieth not him. Cut off. Okay, let's go. 14. When this is the law, when a man dieth in a tent, all that come into the tent and all that is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days. And every open vessel which has no covering upon it is unclean. People always say, oh, God's commandments are so hard. They're so difficult. Well, this just seems like common sense. Like if you go to mourn a guy that died in a tent, probably old age or something, and the whole family comes together, they're all unclean now because they're probably hugging him, touching his body, and then any vessels that they have, it's considered unclean as well. It's contaminated. Any hospital would say that. That's why I always say Leviticus is basically divided into 3 things. It's basically a church, a hospital, and a bank. That's the way I read Leviticus, and it makes it actually very interesting when you read it from this context. Verse 15, and every open vessel which hath no covering bound upon it is unclean. So if you have a vessel that's not sealed, again, this is for medical reasons. You don't want any contamination when you're touching a dead body. I think that just is common sense, right? Hospitals do this all the time. And whosoever touches one that is slain with a sword in the open fields, or a dead body or a bone of a man or a grave shall be unclean 7 days. Same thing. You're contaminated now. You got to wash yourself with this red heifer mixture. And for an unclean person, they shall take of the ashes of the burnt heifer purification for sin, and running water shall be put thereto in a vessel. And a clean person shall take hyssop and dip it in the water and sprinkle it upon the tent and upon all the vessels and upon the persons that were there, and upon him that touched the bone, or one that is slain, or one that is dead, or a grave. Interesting, right? Even a grave, even touching a grave, you would be considered unclean. And the clean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he shall purify himself and wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and shall be clean at 7. But the man that shall be unclean shall not purify himself. That soul shall be cut off from among the congregation, because he hath defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water of separation hath not been sprinkled upon him. He is unclean. And it shall be a perpetual state unto them that he sprinkleth the water of the separation shall wash his clothes, and toucheth the water of separation shall be unclean unto even whosoever the unclean person touches shall be unclean, and the soul that touches it shall be unclean till 7. So this is for everyone. This is not just for the priests. This is for the congregation as well. This is how you're to interact with each other as a nation. It's interesting, right?
Yeah. And like when it's outside. So where they're doing this, apparently this sacrifice, there's an altar already built on Mount Olive. That's where, and it's directly across from Mount Zion, where the temple.
Like a cedar house? What did you say? A cedar house was on Mount Olives?
What? No, the altar that they built to do the sacrifice. Now,
is it built out of cedar?
Oh, I don't know.
That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, I don't know.
So they have it right now. This altar.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. Mount of Olives, I guess.
Outside of the camp. Right? It's not at the Temple Mount that they're doing this, is what I'm trying to highlight here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing that just outside. Like that's where all the basins were. Even in Solomon's day, they had all these basins just outside, I believe, outside the temple on each side. Can't remember how many, if it's 6 on each side or whatever. Let me see.
This is a cross on Mount Olive that they're doing this. This is a cross from where the temple currently sits, where the temple currently, like previously.
Right. Yeah. They're facing the temple. They're facing
they
the west, I guess.
Yeah, it's west of it. East of it, but facing west. And they're standing on Mount Olive. Yeah.
I just want to see an image of this altar that they have. See what it looks like. Mount of Olives altar, I think. Does this look like? I always have to look at a few references. This looks like an animation. I think this is just a model for the book of Exodus. Let me just show this, for example. This is kind of interesting. This is just a model of someone's rendition of what it looked like in Exodus, because they weren't allowed to have stairs approaching. This is where they would burn all the animals, and then they would gather the ashes and all that kind of stuff underneath. I think on the other side of this is where you can actually put a shovel in and gather all the ashes and then remove it. So it's kind of interesting. It's like just a model of it.
I'm trying to find, I did see a picture, and I know somebody else mentioned it. It's not an altar made of wood. It's white, and it has a long ramp. Like, that's what I saw when I looked it up a little while ago, but I'm just trying to find it.
White, you say?
Yeah, it's like
This would be like a big deal that you can search for the altar and it just, why is it hard to find?
Wonder if you can Google map it and see if it's there. Like, you know, Google Earth. Zoom in.
Oh, I see it. I see it. I see it.
Found it? Okay.
Yep. I'll show it right away here.
So yeah, and apparently they're doing this tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
That's and
interesting.
Somebody asked, like, do you think they're gonna I think I saw the questions. Or do you think they're going to like, is this even real?
Looks like it. Let's just play it. Yeah, it's a real, that's it right there. Let me just, can you guys hear this?
Ceremony needs to be performed right. A massive altar already awaits where the heifers are to be burned. According to some believers, the ceremony needs to be performed right here on the Mount of Olives, looking directly into where the temple once stood. But something else now
unbelievable
place. The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque among the
That's interesting. So they pretty much can't see the temple because of the mosque in the way. So, and I don't know where that comes from. Honestly, I think that's
now
just
stands in its place.
Legend.
The Dome of the Rock and
like, to be honest,
what's a legend?
That it had to be on the Mount of Olives. I don't recall that, and I've read the Bible a bunch of times. I don't recall that's where the ceremony was. It seems like they were prepping it wherever the tabernacle was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you move the tabernacle, you set this all up, you pour water, you pour redwood, you pour the hyssop, and then some scarlet, and then you burn this all up, and then, okay, everybody, chop, chop. If you find a bone out in the wilderness somewhere as you're walking along and you touch it, wash your hands here. You can stay outside the camp for 7 days. That's the idea. Like, I don't know why they're, it feels like this is like the only thing that they actually care about. They're not interested in, hey, how about we get to know God the Father? How about we get to know God the Son? Maybe that's what we should focus on, but we're kind of bypassing a couple of things. It feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like we're skipping over a couple of procedures. That's just my humble opinion.
And, you know, what I'm trying to figure out is, why did they choose Mount Olive?
White? Yeah.
No, that mountain. Like, I mean, there's significance. We know Jesus would be on that mountain going to.
Yeah, he's going to split the mountain when he comes back.
One of his favorite mountains to be on, when he would separate himself unto the Father to go pray.
Yeah, so it's
and he ascended from there.
Yeah.
Right? So it's pretty interesting.
I know, like, of all the places you're picking, you want to pick the place where the Messiah is going to split the mountain? That's your choice of where you're doing this? Okay.
Oh, it's dangerous. Dangerous.
Good luck with that. Good luck. And I'm not trying to speak against whatever it is, but it's just kind of, it feels like they're skipping a couple of steps.
Well,
it feels like it.
It's not speaking against. It's not biblical.
Yeah, there's no temple either. Right now. So I don't know what they're
major things have already taken place that's not even required anymore. Christ was the sacrifice, right? So this is like an abomination. You know?
Yeah, it's obviously you're going to have two camps, because there's some camps where people are like, yeah, absolutely, they need the temple and I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to support them. But they're not really fully grasping the idea that a lot of Israelites are going to go to that temple and be there. And there's also going to be another fellow that's going to show up one day as the Antichrist. And we can't forget about Zechariah. I think it's 14, where 2/3 of Israel gets destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So are we, in essence, setting them up by sending Israelites to, or Israelis to Jerusalem, almost like to get slaughtered in some ways. Like, I don't know how else you could look at it. It's like you're setting them up to get destroyed by sending them to Jerusalem and saying, hey, yeah, this is okay. Set up the temple, but you know who's coming next. Somebody's going to sit in that temple and declare himself to be God. And that's when they realize they're betrayed and they're going to flee. So if you're sending Israelis there saying, go live in Jerusalem, I don't know. I get the idea of touring the place and stuff, but I don't know if I'd want to live there. What are your thoughts? Good place to live?
I mean, I love Israel when I went there. I love it.
Yeah, but, my mom liked it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They could be doing it just to gather the ashes, which makes sense. And I get the idea behind the purification. I really do. Like, if they got the robes, they got all the stuff, they want to perform it. I don't have a problem with that, because I know Hebrews says that the one problem that Israel faced as a nation is you could never purify your conscience. So if you're sacrificing animals, rams, sheep, goats, whatever it is, even the what's the ritual called where you lay your hands, the scapegoat, even that one, where you take a strong man and he has to take this goat out into the wilderness and let him go.
Yeah.
So you could do all the rituals, but that doesn't take care of your heart. You're still going to bed at night going, man, I ripped my neighbor off. I gave 2 rams, 3 sheep, whatever, to make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I still ripped him off, and I feel yucky inside. Yeah. My conscience is not severed. So what Jesus did for us on the cross is he died on the cross. He forgave our sins once and for all. He cleansed us here. He circumcised our hearts. So now we believe in him. We're clear here. So they're going to go through this whole ritual, but it's not going to fix this part. It's only an outward appearance. So they're kind of missing something here. Again, I have no problem with the idea. Hey, keep yourself pure, all this kind of stuff. Wash your hands. You touch a dead body, all this. I get it. I understand that. I have no problem with Leviticus. It's the clearing the conscience. You can't do that unless you have Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the ritual ceremonies, all that stuff, knock yourself out. It's still not going to clear your conscience. There's still only one way to Jesus, to heaven. That's Jesus Christ. No matter how you slice it, there's only one way to get saved. They're bypassing that. Just a tiny little detail. It's like this. So tiny. Crash, 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 crash you. So tiny. Little
but
detail.
Their intent behind it is
to get to know the Messiah, I guess, right? Jesus Christ? Oh no.
Is the temple. The third
temple.
temple.
They want the temple.
They want that temple.
They want their temple. That's the most important.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, and I know they say the Dome of the Rock is sitting in the area where the third temple or the second temple was, or where the temple were. However, there's some recent we only need Jesus as Gentiles, Jews don't.
Well, Jews need Jesus as well. It's kind of, if you read Ezekiel, it talks about that in, I think it's Ezekiel 38, where God is saying to Ezekiel, look at all these dry bones and all this stuff, because basically the nation was saying, are we done, Lord? Are we done? Are you done with us? And God wanted Ezekiel to give them hope. And he said, one day, my branch is going to restore Israel. And I'm going to take, you can look it up too if you want. I think it's Ezekiel 38. What he's going to do, the branch is going to take Ephraim and the stick of Judah and combine them together. Ephraim representing Joseph, representing the 10 tribes of Israel. And then you have Judah and you have Benjamin and the Levites altogether one nation now under God, not two, one nation. And my son will be their God, their king. They will have one king. They will have one shepherd. They will be one nation. You can only have so many times of the word one mentioned, and then you got to understand that we're talking about one nation under God. Probably Jews and Gentiles, probably uncircumcised and circumcised under God, one nation.
Mm-hmm.
We've been grafted in.
Mm-hmm.
Because it talks about that in Romans until the fullness of the Gentiles come in.
Yep.
And then all of Israel would be saved. So I think it's a little bit more spiritual as well.
Yeah, there's definitely spiritual aspect to this. There's always.
Do you want to read Ezekiel 38 for fun?
It's 37.
Oh, I was off.
Bro.
Hey, look at that. You highlighted it. Nice. Why don't you read? Because you have a better voice than me.
Well, I don't know about that. Okay, so let's go to Ezekiel.
You could share, I think, on your screen. Or I could. Why don't I share while you read?
All right.
Or you just read.
Okay, well, I mean, are we going to talk about the dry bones? Or are we just going to kind of keep going?
Go past the dry bones part.
At this two-stick prophecy?
Yeah, go to the two-stick prophecy.
And again, the word of the Lord came to me saying, as for you, son of man, take a stick for yourself and write on it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write on it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for the house of Israel, his companions. Then join them one to another for yourself unto the stick, and they will come one in your hand. And when the children of your people speak to you, saying, will you not show us what you mean by these? Say to them, thus says the Lord, surely I will take the stick of Joseph, which is the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his companions, and I will join them with it, the one stick with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they will be one in my hand. And the sticks on which you write will be in your hand before their eyes. Okay, so then it goes on. Then thus says the Lord, surely I will take the children of Israel from among the nations, whether they have gone, and will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land and on the mountains of Israel, and one. Okay, we're gonna go into this, bro. Okay.
Yep.
Here we go. And I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king over them. They shall no longer be two nations, nor shall they ever be divided into two kingdoms again. They shall not defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will deliver them from all their dwelling places in which they have sinned, and will cleanse them. Then they shall be my people, and I will be their God. David, my servant, shall be king over them. Who's David represent? Okay.
Yeah, depending who you talk to, I think it's Jesus Christ. There are some Jews that say this is David basically coming back to reign. So I think it's just another play on the Messiah, that it's actually Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they shall have one shepherd, and they shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. And then they shall dwell in the land that I've given to Jacob, my servant, where your fathers dwelt, and they shall dwell there, their children, and their children's children forevermore. My servant David shall be their prince forever. Okay.
Yeah, forever.
Forever. Mm-hmm. Not for his reign. Forever.
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them, and it shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I will establish them and multiply them, and I will set my sanctuary in the midst forevermore.
Yep.
My tabernacle also shall be with them. Indeed, I will be their God, and they shall be my people, and the nations also will know. And the nations will also know that I, the Lord, sanctify Israel when my sanctuary is in their midst forevermore. Like, okay, I mean, what are we talking about here?
I don't know, it feels like it's Jesus Christ being the sanctuary.
Yeah, exactly. Hunting adventures. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is what he's speaking of here.
Yeah.
The millennial kingdom, 100%.
Yeah.
Right. And
we're not quite there yet.
No.
We're not quite in the millennium kingdom. The devil isn't quite in the pit of despair for 1,000 years yet. The Antichrist and the false prophet have not even showed up yet, as far as I know. Maybe Joe Biden, maybe Trump, maybe Elon Musk, maybe Zelensky, all players, all top contenders.
Yeah.
Like maybe even Oprah.
And the thing is, like, you know, there's a lot of angles that people look at. Well, there's one particular angle that people look at this and they're like, well, this happened because now everybody's like all the
this happened already where Israel came and they're one nation today. All 12 tribes.
And all 12 tribes are there. They're all fleeing back.
But you're missing a step. You don't have a king.
No king.
That's a big deal in some countries. That's a big deal. They are a democratic state. They are not a monarchy right now. You ask any Israeli in Israel, they are a democratic state. They have a prime minister.
Yeah.
They're not looking to God as their king.
Yeah. And I mean,
they're not looking to Jesus Christ, I should say, as their king.
Like, what do we got? Joshua, we got David, we got Saul, we got all these guys consistently. We read off and on that they'll follow the Lord and then they flee and then they have to come back to the Lord, right? And he sanctifies them again, corrects them, goes on. I mean, they seek the Lord. When they're seeking the Lord, hey, are you going to go before us and allow us to take over, you know, all of these different areas? The Lord will give them, yes, go. But when they didn't, how many instances was there? I'm sure you can slam a bunch of them, bro. How many times was there that they didn't seek the Lord? Kitty cat didn't seek the Lord and they got destroyed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So what is happening here right now? Like this, if we're going back, because I mean, there's a lot of aspects that people speak about, because if we go back at the beginning of 37, prophesy to these bones, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord to these bones, surely I will cause breath to enter into you and you shall live. And I'll put sinews on you and bring flesh upon you, cover you with skin and put breath in you and you shall live. Okay. A lot of people believe that this has all happened already. All of Ezekiel 37.
Yeah, because they're basing this off of Auschwitz because people were skinny coming out of prisons and they were saying this is the exact representation of Ezekiel saying these dry bones, when Ezekiel is actually telling Israel, look, I'm not letting you guys go. I have a plan for you, but here's my plan. My branch is going to be your king. That's what they skip over. They just go, oh, we're here rent free. But they skip over the king. And that is later.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it was this Israel becoming a nation in 1948.
Yeah, it's starting a clock for sure.
Literally starting a clock.
It's
a major event. It's not Ezekiel 37.
Yeah. It's for sure moving some clock forward in time.
To be back on the map.
Right.
The Lord needed that, but it wasn't Ezekiel 37. Israel becoming a nation isn't what they're talking about here.
Yeah, not at that point, because that's what people go, that was the fulfillment of that. But when you go into Israel and you just look around and you ask an Israeli person and you say, do you know Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior? Do you recognize him as the Messiah? They'll be like, no, not at all. Is he your king? How about God the Father? Is he your king? They'll be like, no, I don't even practice.
I mean, there is some 100%.
Some, yeah, for sure. I'm talking about the ones that don't. And if you were to drill further and you would ask them, okay, here's a question for you. What tribe are you from?
I don't know.
Probably 90% of the ones that are unbelievers, let's just say the ones that don't practice Judaism, although that is a requirement if you want to be an Israeli, you have to practice Judaism legally. And your mother has to be on that side as well after 1949. But if you ask them, they will say something like, I don't know. I don't know. Well, how about do a DNA test?
It's illegal.
Can't do it. Can't do it. So how are you going to prove if someone were to come from a different tribe and say, hey, I'm actually from the tribe of Judah and I'm coming in. Oh, what is your name? Oh, it's Judah. Okay.
It's Abraham.
Were you born before 1949? Yes. Okay. Sorry. You don't practice Judaism. You can't be in here. Yeah, but I'm Judah. I'm Judah. I'm one of the tribes.
I'm the father of the nation.
Yeah.
I'm Abraham.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can't come in.
Judaism? What's that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
I mean, like this
I know
is
we're making
the
fun
reality
a little bit, but
this, right? Like this is the reality. There's nothing. We're looking like. I mean, we're reading the Word of God. We're seeing what's going on, and this is the reality of what it looks like. And I mean, there's still the 10 other tribes that are lost. They only recognize the 2 tribes, which is called Judah. Not sure why they called Israel if it's just
the 2
Judah.
tribes. Yeah.
That's there right now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because they haven't been called Israel since Solomon.
Yeah.
They were called Judah. That was their nation, was Judah, but somehow they're now Israel, which again, I'm not trying to argue with all this stuff, but a lot of stuff doesn't compute when you, especially when you ask them simple questions like, what tribe are you from? Doesn't matter. The branch, do you know who the branch is? Do you know Messiah? No. Do you read Isaiah? They're like, no, I don't read the New Testament. Well, that's not in the New Testament. That's your Old Testament. Oh yeah, but I listen to my rabbi. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen for Israel to turn to the Messiah and go, blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord, where every knee will bow. Something has to happen because they're not there in that state right now. They're not in trouble. They have the Iron Dome. They can destroy any nation right now. Anybody that comes in to evade them, they could take out. The problem is if they exhaust the Iron Dome, they're in trouble. And they're not looking to God to save them right now. Some are, most aren't. Just like some Christians are asking God for help in North America, some aren't. Most aren't.
Mm-hmm.
We call ourselves a Christian nation, but are we? Really? Are we?
Yeah.
Paul says just because you call yourself a Jew on the outside, just because you're in a piece of real estate, that doesn't mean you're a Jew. You're a Jew if you're circumcised in your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. What are we missing here?
Well, and I'm just reading the Word, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, what's when you're immersed in it continuously and you're going through it over and over and over, you're starting to see a trend. You're starting to see what the Lord's heart is on everything. And, and I mean, at the end of the day, like it's just wild. The things just don't line up sometimes, right? What's going on in Israel and stuff. And I mean, of course, that's at the apple of his eye. But
like let's just put Jesus aside for one split second. They don't even know the Father. Because if they knew the Son, they knew the Son, they would know the Father. If they know the Father, they know the Son. So that tells me, therefore, ergo, they don't know the Father.
Yeah. And I mean,
so what are we arguing about here? Like when we're talking about who's who?
Yeah. I mean, Like, and like if we bring these things up, people just get heated about it. And it's like, well, I mean, this is the word of God. So let's tarry in it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
We can't just slide past all these things that the Lord talks about. Like, I mean, if we're going to stand on the word of God, we can't just pick and choose what this looks like.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, Christian has been completely polluted from its meaning. And there's an intensity that the Lord is doing right now in all of us, individually, corporately, for the whole body and worldly. He's drawing us onto him. There's a correction that he's, through all of this that's going on, this eclipse thing, the signs are very, very prominent. And there's so many things that you cannot ignore. It's like, how can you even ignore these things of what's going on in the eclipse, the depths of it, the aspect, like just go read Jonah, the book of Jonah. We're going to get a real taste of what's going on here with this eclipse. The Lord is calling us back unto him, shaking his church up. He's looking for a spotless bride without blemish. We've already become that of righteousness through Christ, right? But he's shaking us to a place that he wants us to draw closer into such a level of intimacy with him right now, because things are moving so quickly.
Yeah.
And he's moving very quickly. And what's to come is going to be based on our reaction, our repentance, our heart posture, the church. And how are we to know and have the discernment of the times that we're in if we're not tightly in the word with the Lord? And I'm not just speaking, just reading the word. I'm meaning allowing the Holy Spirit to reveal. Like, I don't have to watch news very often or things like that. When you're in the word and you have the Lord, the Holy Spirit deciphering these things, he's showing literally things that are happening and speaking these things. And then it just happened. I fall upon something that's confirming what the Lord's doing. There's such an intensity, and he's doing a correction within the church.
Yeah. And even with the Jews, like here, for example, JT says the Jews are very stubborn about their traditions. And this also was talked about. I don't always like to lump in Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel together, but sometimes it's very close. So I'm just going to throw out a thought, and then maybe somebody can pull it up. But the idea is Israel, the more God punished them, the more they would do worse. They would just get worse and worse. So God said, I'm going to do something new. I'm going to do a new covenant. And it's going to be different than what I did with the forefathers, meaning I'm going to circumcise their heart.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my laws in their heart.
They're being written.
And they're going to know me, and I'm going to know them. They're going to worship me. I'm going to be their God. This is what I'm going to do. So when you look at it from that perspective, God has all of Israel in a state of unbelief right now so that he can show mercy just like he showed the Gentiles mercy.
Yeah.
So it's the same process. Therefore, he could show mercy upon the uncircumcised and the circumcised, both. Because we were in unbelief as well. We were outside looking in, but a handful of Jews reached out to us, Paul, Barnabas, Silas, Titus, Timothy, just Greeks and Jews reached out and start preaching the gospel of God to the Gentiles. And we got saved because we heard and we believed. And because we believed, we get a pass on Jacob's trouble. So the same thing's going to eventually happen to Israel, where we just show mercy by showing who the Messiah is. And then they can believe and have the same thing. Now, if you talk to a Jew today, they'll be like, they want nothing to do with heaven. Zero. Zilcho. And we don't need real estate. We want to go to heaven. We want to worship Jesus 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what Christians want. Jews want their land. They want their real estate. So eventually, Jesus is going to restore heaven and earth, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's got two plans going on. He's restoring heaven. He's going to kick the devil out. And when the devil gets kicked out of heaven and comes to earth, they're going to try and go back to heaven, and they're going to realize there's no space for them